You mean like you don't know if we're going to be able to correct the timeline?
The way it was described to us, imagine, the demi-planes we sometimes create when we're, like, the mansion or we're going places. Like, we're kind of outside of the various planes when we're in those, correct?
Yeah, sure.
It may be the case that our entire existence is in one of those right now, but on a larger scale, and we don't have a door.
Of course it would be impossible to tell. The way your friend spoke of it, it was an hourglass. There is only so much sand. You can move it, correcting your situation. You can move the sand, but it is still only an hourglass. Perhaps our real existence is the whole beach. Personally, I don't think it matters.
I don't know why I just thought of this, but Soren, does the name Zevnadan Jurix mean anything to you?
1 second. We don't find out.
Are you a racist? You think all dragons know each other?
Only... I don't know. Name sounds familiar. Is he an author? Or...
No, he is a steel dragon. And to answer your question, Kudo, once they get old enough, yes, I assume all dragons know each other. Just like Werkapesh and Calril Val. Zevnadan may not have been as...
I was not Kudo, that was the voice of the dice.
But, no, he was alive during the Netherese Empire, and the last time that we seen of him, he was hunting down, Faerun.
Faerun. That rings a bell as well. Something I don't...
Weird magic-eating worm things.
A little bit outside of my wheelhouse, I'm afraid. Although if he is the Silver Dragon, as you say, then they tend to be rather cagey, even amongst their own. Perhaps especially amongst their own.
He's kind of KGB. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist myself.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you that one. You may have points for that.
All right, so look, I don't know exactly what our solution's going to be here, but I turn to Spit and I say, we sent you here. Did you manage to find what you were looking for, at least? I can see that you managed to hold yourselves alive, which, congratulations, but now what?
Well, we found Enkidu.
Is that who that random guy is standing? No. He's not here, right?
No, he's not present, no.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm not we're not just chatting this random, crazy looking guy just standing in the corner.
Yeah, you're outside amongst the golem corpses.
Yeah. So, yeah, we say, great. Since you found him, did you manage to create the thing that you said you could create? Or take? Or do whatever?
No, not yet. He's probably going to want to talk to you guys first. He's
fine.
Still kind of... Well, he knew Anastasi pretty well. Still not happy about it.
I'm sure he isn't. regardless, you should at least talk to Lin, because if anyone's going to convince him to assist in matters of godly import, I guess it would be this asshole, right?
Okay, relax. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't think he's an asshole. I'm pretty sure he's okay.
Everyone's an asshole to Kudo until proven otherwise.
All right, yeah, you're right. Maybe Lynn should talk to him. This is so fucking odd because we don't have either of the people here that would be doing it. Well, then, head inside whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, I guess Lin can talk. I guess I can.
Oh God. I'm just gonna make sure OBS is recording so that James gets to see what happens to Lin when he's gone. All right.
I think I could probably run him pretty well without breaking what James himself would do.
Maybe so. We have been doing this a while. So then, heading into the labyrinth, I'll just to give you guys like an idea, just visual reference, really. These are like some of what you see along your way. And as you pass these kind of symbols, they sort of show, I guess, like projections of where they head to. And you see these places of like deep elemental earth and air and water and fire. But bypassing these places, you come to these two absolutely massive doors, like Tartarus, keeping Kronos and Tartarus kind of doors. And there is, they are open, it would seem, but there's like a I don't know what to call it, a shroud or something, kind of thrown over the doorway, kind of like hanging a curtain, I guess, as opposed to having a door on. I don't know if you guys have ever been that poor. I definitely have, but yeah, sometimes just hang up a curtain and call it good. So, on the other side of the curtain, there is a wind blowing, and you can feel this tremendous heat from within. And this, let's see, this deep, deep smell of sulfur, and the air on the other side that blows through is kind of, actually, no, yeah, it would be. The air inside is like kind of thick with like a haze. It feels almost, toxic to be breathing in or anything as you guys make your way inside. But beyond the curtain, you see a workshop of a large scale, or should I say, a pretty normal sized workshop if the blacksmith within was just a giant, so like fairly humble, but very big. And, you can make out this, there's like a long chamber, which appears to like it's very deep. It looks like it would hold some kind of a liquid or something. It is currently empty, but beneath this thing flows this, it's not so much lava as like a river of elemental flame. and nearby there is this massive anvil. However, most things in the shop are sort of covered with dust. The anvil just is peeking out from underneath a sort of a cloth that has been thrown over it. And on top of the cloth is this, like, what you vaguely recognize to be the body of Anastasia, but is very... It almost is unrecognizable. It is in something like a process of decomposition. There's no rot happening, but obviously there is basically nothing left of the demigod, or whatever you want to call her, that she once was. She looks almost curled up like an insect exoskeleton when they kind of dry. And there, standing over her body with an abiding silence, is this hairy, like, nearly beast-looking guy. He seems to sort of have, like, horns growing out of his head like a goat. And just every, basically, square inch of him is sort of growing hair. A lot of it has been very carefully tied back in like, you know, fine cloth and stuff like that, such that you could almost mistake it as a sort of a fur coat or something that he's wearing. But yeah, this sort of giant, hairy human, maybe, just lurking, basically, like, with his eyes cast down on the body of Anastasia, and seeming to sort of generate this oppressive silence. The kind that's, you know, comes from the inertia of having not said anything for many, many years. But so as you guys step into the room, he speaks up, and the sort of wind of his breath kicks a lot of the dust up off the floor nearby to him. And it almost seems as if, like, you know, there's dust on his breath, like he's let his, you know, vocal cords go unused so long. And with a sort of you know, slightly froggy, kind of scratchy sound, this sort of giant creature says, "I am sorry for my guardians at the front. I have been preoccupied. They do not know one from another. They only know you are not supposed to be here.
I guess, I don't know, maybe Lynn would chime in and say, "May I ask what you are doing with the remains of my mother?"
There is nothing to be done. But in time there will be nothing left to see. I knew her. I have seen her lifeless before. For a time. Perhaps if I stare at her long enough, she will come back again. she has before.
Kudo would then say, well, if she does, then be a child, then probably have to be dead.
Yeah, he flicks his eyes over in your direction, and you feel a slight, I don't know, like when your foot falls asleep, but right in the center of your forehead. A kind of like a tingling.
I hate it when my forehead falls asleep.
But he just looks at you with this forlorn look. And as this tingling sensation intensifies, he kind of closes his eyes and nods. He doesn't say anything, but he nods as if like, yep, you're probably right. You would probably have to be. So, whatever you were here for was important enough to ignore all of the signs.
So
I think Spit would probably, at this point, probably step up and say, we're searching for a way to repair a god, to heal them from a sickness. Enkidu kind of squeezes his eyes tight for a second and gives a completely, like, a laugh with absolutely no sincerity in it at all. Just, I don't know, sort of a laugh with just laden with ennui. So you decided to come here. What would make you think that I could help you? Spit just kind of looks down to Anastasia. You built her, didn't you? Not to last, it seems. Well, there's not really anyone else that we can ask, Enkidu. And maybe you've gotten better since then. You got some practice, right? He gives Spit a long kind of a look, as if trying to, I don't know, as if trying to figure out where Spit is coming from, but seems somewhat unable to do so. He says, in this forge, I bound Anastasia into a material form. I freed her from the shell of that wolf she was carrying. But ever since she was not right. The body never sat easy with her. I am not the smith. I just hold his hammer. I killed the smith long ago. Perhaps he could have helped you. Of course, I doubt he would care to.
Would Spit respond here, or would Lynn?
Spit seems to be not really sure how to proceed. Like, maybe we should just like wait until James at least gets here. It's very tricky.
I know. I want to respect how they would respond.
I could eat up some time here. Looking around the shop, and based on the size of it, like you said that it would look like a forge for a giant. Does this name the Smith like ring any bells for me as far as like giant deities go?
Make a religion check. As a matter of fact, Kudo make one as well. I'm betting Kudo's more likely to get a hold of this one, but
yeah, probably.
22.
Can I have advantage?
Well, I will say, you, if it were relating to giants, you feel like you would probably, but you would have advantage if this had something to do with a giant deity. So you kind of get a confident feeling that like this isn't like a giant deity. Maybe he was a very large thing, whatever he was. But Kudo, what'd you get at 22?
Yep. For history. Sorry, religion. This is when Lynn says, "I renounce all of my circle, everything. I bequeath everything to Kudo. He was right about everything."
I give up adventuring.
Why is he repeating himself? We just did this 10 minutes ago. Just to rub it in Jamie's face. Well, Kudo, you actually easily, like near instantly, recall, like the information you're about to get was something that Shedgareth had a personal interest in. When Anastasia came to have dealings with him, it was after she had a physical body, but she couldn't reproduce, basically. She was sort of a curse of infertility, kind of. That was the nature of her deal with Shedgareth. And in order to facilitate this deal, he learned a little bit about her. And one of the things that he learned is that she brazenly, in want of a body, went to the workshop of this enigmatic figure known as the Smith. Very little is known about him, primarily because by the time that things could be learned about him, he had been killed. But he worked in creating vessels out of the raw elemental material of life. So, the 4 elements, basically. And Shedgareth, you recall the sort of the glee, not overwhelming, but sort of, the sickening glee of, as if you were Shedgareth, in that moment, of taunting Anastasia with, well, you did have other options than coming to me. If only you hadn't killed the Smith, if you had been less impatient, maybe he could have helped you. But since I'm the only one who can help you, I have to charge my price.
Well, I mean, if Dale and you're like kind of trying to figure stuff out, you're like, giants, all that. Oh, this is the forge. After all, I know everything about forges, Dalen.
Dalen just looks at you and like shakes his head. He's like, I don't know what the hell's gotten into Kudo lately, but he's even more annoying than usual.
Well, he knows everything.
Yeah, I'm a god. Of course I know everything.
Yeah.
It's the glee of a god possibly dying in his vicinity.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, just given what I know, and like based on the stuff about how like the elemental things could create a vessel, I'm spitballing, and I also know that Spit's not here since I can't spitball without Spit. But if he were to smelt the sword, would that be powerful enough to create a vessel?
The sword. What sword are we talking? Which sword?
His sword. Literally made of the elements.
Oh, Spit's sword. Yeah. The
one that we spent over 50K building.
The planar splinter. I mean, you wouldn't. The fact that came to you as an idea tells me that you and Kudo are on about the same wavelength. Like, without any further input, it's just an idea.
Okay. But yeah, regardless. Well, we should probably fill James in just up to a point, just so he understands what we're doing.
Yeah,
we're at the forge.
Yeah, we're at the forge. Enkidu has your mom's corpse currently. Just staring at it, as one does.
Pleasant.
You were asking about it, and well, since he's the one who created her, like he said that perhaps one day perhaps she could come back. Kudo said, unless I die, I doubt that's possible, given that I have part of her. But that was kind of what that is. Spit was the one who kind of said, like, look, we came to you because you're literally the only person we can to when it comes to maybe trying to help gods. But now you're up to the bat, so to speak. I was about to speak for you. As I said, I was going to announce we believed in.
The Spit was saying that it's, you're the guy. You created Anastasi's body. You must be able to help us. And she's like, you built Anastasi. He said, not to last, it would seem. He's in like some kind of a deep depression. He's evidently in mourning. I think the last thing that he said was, I'm not the smith. I'm only the man who killed him. I just hold his hammer. Maybe he could have helped you, not that he would have wanted to. And then he just left it there, seeming to consider the matter resolved,
I think for 1 sec. I'll look to Enkidu and say, it's not a fault of your own. If you, I shouldn't say if, I can tell that you really cared about my mother. She was suffering more from mental affliction in the end, not physical. She encountered something that I'm still not quite sure what happened, but
You are right, but so am I. This affliction you speak of started with the one that I speak of. The difference and the sickness of the body and of the mind is only time. I started her down a path, and in time, she reached the end.
what if that path was more treacherous than you could know? What if there is a outside source that affected her?
If you
I don't want to
go ahead.
give you all the details. Because it's more of a curse than anything. But there is a high likelihood that the vessel that you built was built to last. But the issue is that there are those on this plane, in this universe, multi-planarverse, that are cursed to have time not work as well as others. And because of this, maybe the vessel that you built got confused.
What do you speak of? This sickness of the mind, you mean, that she had? It did not come from within?
No. It could have been outside manipulation, but it's on a scale that not even individuals like us could fight against. Not as of now. That's partially why we're coming to you. It's gotten bad enough that even gods are being brought into the mix of this. And the affliction is bad enough that it can even kill a god.
This word you say, God. What does it mean? What does it mean to you, I should say? We called them sister children, but they are all but gone now. Do you speak of those that came after?
Yes. What you think of as the sister children, we more think of as primordial spirits. Things that first came. Though they were the first, there was something that happened. None of us really know. But obviously, individuals attain some form of power that stretched much further than the sister children could ever grasp.
Mielikki. Oh, fuck, sorry. That was out of character. I goofed. I meant to say Anastasia. Anastasia was the eldest sister, but not the greatest. I speak in a story, I mean. I know that there are those who came after that were much greater. Perhaps they were standing on the shoulders of the sister children. Perhaps not. But these creatures, these are what you call gods. And they are now sick.
Some. Not all the gods are made equal, as it seems.
Then it is all for nothing then. It is what could I do in the face of something like this?
Well, Mike looks to Kudo. Looks to the rest of the group. Our goal is to help one of the gods afflicted right now. But we're planning for the worst. If in the end that god doesn't truly make it, then the only real change that we can make is having a god who may be a little bit more prepared than the others. When it comes down to it, even men can make changes that gods can. I don't know if you really know anything about the outside world from here, but kingdoms have come around that have shown that. Made even the gods fearful.
I suppose the sister children were mighty, and they were first. Yet they were afraid of those who came after.
And then the gods came next. And who came following after the gods?
Who is this god that you wish to save? Why is she so important to you?
She's the god of the forest. Her name's Mielikki. She's amazing. And what she is, what she stands for, it's beautiful and good. And since I was a child, I knew that I would always fight till my last breath for what she stood for.
When I was a man, I knew a woman. Just one. I was raised in the wild, and among the beasts. Fearsome they were, and deadly. But there was no fear they could give me that could match the fears when I saw her. I knew the danger I was in. And though I was perhaps the greater of the two, of she and I do not believe she was ever so afraid of me as I was of her. And when she was lost, your mother helped me to get her back. I have heard what you were saying before. Not in my ears, but in my heart. This Mielikki. In her, I see the ghost of your mother, as you are the ghost of me. You would do what you could to save her, whatever that may mean. I'm bound to help you then. Do not take heart. If I have agreed to help you, then I do not think it will turn the better for any of us. But I will help. I will need to meet your god. But I cannot go. She must be brought here. If she is as sick as you say, better to only move her once. Bring her to my workshop. I will examine her. I will see what of her can be rebuilt. Lynn, he looks at you, and in the front of your forehead and in the front of your chest, this feeling like your arm falling asleep that's like tingling, kind of underneath his gaze, kind of starts to, like I said, fill your chest and the front of your forehead. And he says, I hope you are prepared. There is much to be lost on this road. From you.
I haven't been prepared this entire time.
No. I suppose. But then I suppose it is not you who will suffer most. I do not think Anastasia is suffering now, you see. Only those she left behind. Go then and fetch her. And we will see what can be done. I must relight the forges in preparation of her coming.
Thank you.
Can I ask? Sorry, don't want to interrupt.
Go on.
Technical question.
Mm-hmm.
Would the gate spell work in retrieving her to this location?
I don't think it's ever been tried, at least not in living memory. But certainly it worked on something like Caloril. If it were only a size problem, it definitely would work. But the rest is kind of up in the air, like what happens when you try to gate a deity.
A weak deity, nonetheless.
What about a sick deity? What about a deity who might be willing? What if the deity is unwilling? Like,
well, I mean, isn't the gate thing break the unwilling willingness? Isn't that the idea behind Gate?
I think
What
they
if
have to
it's-
make a saving throw if they're.
Well, it specifically says deities and other planar rulers can prevent portals created by a spell from opening in their presence or anywhere in their domain. So the willingness of a deity presumably does
Fair.
matter. But
Fair enough.
what if they're too weak to decide, or too sick, or too out of it? Who knows what's going to happen when you try to pull Mielikki through?
But the only reason Kudo brings that kind of idea up is because it's like, I mean, I don't know, I don't know how strong you are, Soren, but are you able to lift up a god and bring it?
Oh, I cannot say that I am. Affairs of the arm are not my specialty.
Is Soren with us?
Yeah, Soren's with us.
He has been quietly and uninterruptedly absorbing as much information as he can.
Fine. Well, regardless, obviously Ash already used her wish spell earlier today in attempting to heal, unless days have passed, but I believe we've...
Yeah, no, you guys are still, you're like pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
We got a scroll.
We used the candle. That was how we used the gate. In the
Yeah,
first
we had
place.
a candle, but then I think we got a scroll.
I don't
know
recall
if it
ever
was
getting another
gate
gate
or
scroll.
arcane gate.
I do still have the ability to cast through the veil, even though I used my wish spell.
It's arcane gate.
Which, yeah, Arcane Gate's like a dimension door, but more
So
permanent.
wait, so you could theoretically still cast gate through the veil?
Yes.
Well, Ash, I mean,
Well,
I
before
guess
we
Are we sure
Before
we
we do
didn't
that-
rest since... I'm pretty sure we rested since I cast Wish, because that's what my sheet is showing.
yes, you're right. We did because you did
took the
do that reset.
staircase. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, we
did that.
rested. We have...
So I guess
yeah,
you could cast wish to cast gate instead, so you don't have to risk the veil.
either way.
I mean, I wonder what Enkidu thinks looking at Ash. This just like magic incarnate thing. Although I guess Ash is invisible. Does he? I mean, I don't know if he can sense invisible things. This is an ancient being after all.
Yeah, with powers that are both, like,
I mean,
outside
I'm
the
guessing
norm, and
he
also...
probably has true sight as well.
Well, he's been sort of so in a funk, he almost doesn't seem to see you guys.
Fair enough.
He doesn't look at you most of the time when speaking. That's why whenever he looks at you, I've described this feeling that you get. But he seems to, like, see you from the corner, like, from his periphery, but he talks as if he's far away from here most of the time.
Well, sorry.
I was just gonna say, what about a much less risky way to do it and just make Spit and Dalen big?
Well, Dalen,
Yeah, but then we'd
it's
have
only,
to
that will only last so
walk her
long, and not to mention you guys big. Like the fact that an ancient dragon can't hold this thing. Do you think even too big? Like the point is, this is like deity level shit. This is why
I
Kudo is,
I mean, I could planarly shift her if
if
get
she's willing,
permission
but she
from her.
hasn't. But that's the fact. We couldn't even get her permission for her Soren to see her. So Kudo says, not really understanding how Gate works, but knowing that we were able to get Kelleril into our area, even though we were ambushed, says, Ash, are you able to do the same thing we did to Kelleril? Not knowing how the deity stuff works.
You mean with Gate?
If that's what you call it. All I know is there was a big door, the dragon popped in, and we used the fucking candle. Can you replicate that magic using your powers?
Yes.
So I turn to Lynn and I say, look, this is it. Either we heal her here, or worst case scenario. But this is probably the safest way to get her here without... We save time and energy. Well, not Ash's energy, but we do save time.
Of everyone's
Well,
energy except for mine.
Yes.
Lynn will look to Enkidu and say, You say keep part of her. Could you will she live?
I look to Enkidu.
Even
like,
if she's not a god anymore.
I do not know. Perhaps when I see her, I will know. But I do not believe that it will be painless, or that there will be any amount of certainty. I believe if it is anything like Anastasia was, it will be a fight for her life. There are ways we could help, I suppose. And I am sure they will come to me in time. But I must examine your Mielikki.
Lynn, we should at least try this. After what Ash has explained to me, I'm guessing this. I know Ash is powerful. I know she's not necessarily God herself, but with Mielikki weakened, we could probably try this magic. Motherin's and Spit's assistance. Perhaps we might be successful.
Okay. I'm in agreement.
All right.
There's a likelihood that she could live then. I'll take it.
Fine. I turn to Spit and I turn to Mothrin and I ask for their assistance in maybe inspiring Ash. I know the spell will go off. I don't know if there'll be other riders to see if there's like a battle. What?
Said I can guide her too. Is it in village check though? Okay, it's just
we have no idea what this is going to be. This is
if I just do it as a regular wish spell, I don't think I need any type of.
That's not.
Assistance.
I'm not saying.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the gate will go off. It's whether or not it's a battle of will in the end, like past you casting this spell.
But I can't control that. I mean, anyone that I summon.
I'm aware. Like, yes, normally speaking, a deity could just say nope, aka DM saying nope. I'm wondering if this is going to be a situation where there's a battle of will, aka a roll off. That's all I'm saying. But in character, maybe you should be inspired.
I'm just saying, from my understanding of how this type of magic works, in character, there isn't anything that I am going to be able to do after casting this spell that will keep her here beyond just like the normal means of persuading someone, capturing them, etc. So, sure, if you want
to have it, then not.
Okay.
Fine. Kudo's just being overly cautious then.
I think it would make more sense to come up with some other potential, like, strategies for encouraging her to stay beyond just like, maybe you'll feel inspired.
It has not. She can't speak. She's unconscious. Like for all intents and purposes, she's unconscious. The point is, she's still a deity, so it's less that. So
okay.
It's not. Yeah. So it's more of like we know that the gate will go off.
No, I know.
No, I can always do divination, and it lets me ask a single question, and I could ask Mielikki, even though she's unconscious. I could try to ask her, would you please allow us to transport you with this gate. We're trying to save your life.
That's not a question.
Yeah, I'm asking. Will you please?
The second half's a statement.
If we had to remove you from your domain,
if we gate you to save your life, will you please let us?
He's like, would you rather die at home or live in the hospital?
We have an excellent hospice over here that we've got prepared for you. I mean, wait. I turn to Lynn and I say, "You have a question that you can have answered at any point, any time."
Yeah, I've done this a lot.
Okay. Oh, this is specific to the dating thing. This isn't like
it's just specific to Mielikki.
This isn't like a deck of many things, answer a question thing.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Speaking of the deck of many things, Kudo goes, maybe that could solve our problems. Wouldn't that be?
As he's standing 5 feet from the body of Anastasia, you see it twitch a little bit. that mote of energy inside you, you kind of feel it just sitting next to your heart. And as you start talking about the deck of many things, it starts to get warm, fuzzy feelings of greed. And I must have it. And then the body twitches.
The precious.
Thank God I buried that thing.
I'll find it if I really want to. Can't hide things from gods. But that being said, if you want to see if you can ask her, then again, you could have theoretically done this when we were gonna call in Soren.
I don't know if it'll actually work. Because presumably, the god is always conscious.
Yes. I mean, you can do it if you want. I mean, Ash can still try to do this regardless. Ash, I recognize if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It may be helpful just to have a little bit of extra juice just in case, even if it's a waste. And then we'll come up with plan B if we need to.
Sure. All I was saying is, like, maybe, and I don't know how we necessarily feel about something like this, but, like, if the idea is, like, I pull her here and we really, really want her to stay at least long enough to, like, listen to us, then maybe it's something like a force cage or, like, some other type of, like, means of, hey, stay put so that we can talk to you.
I think this is one of those things. Well, so like, if the gate works, well, like, if she comes through and she's like cognizant of things, she could just leave, correct? That's how a normal being could respond, correct? If I'm right. If she's unconscious, she'll just be lying there, and the gate will close after a minute, and she'll just be on our side regardless. Because remember, we left her unconscious. If you want to double check her status, you could always do ascending to one of, what's her name? The unicorn with her?
Armea.
You can always do ascending to Armea and just like see, is she awake? Is she conscious at all? Is she unconscious? Can Amara like relay a message to her, ask if she's willing to do this, and if she's unresponsive, then we could still try to do the gate. Obviously, if she's conscious, she says no. I know, Lynn, you're not going to coerce your god to do this. So we could do it that way too. And if she says no, then I guess we're shit out of luck unless we're going to take the patient's autonomy away from her.
Bunch of ifs. I genuinely, I would think that a god would want to continue existing.
That would be my assumption too, given that I would, as a god myself, I want my existence to continue, so therefore I can extrapolate on that point. However, she also is a different being, so I'm willing to be more... She could also be loopy, and therefore not really understand the question, and not really be within her mental frame of mind to even understand the question we pose. So even in that case, I would argue that we should still try to warp her here if possible.
I'm in agreement.
Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and kill Enkidu in time while you guys figure this out.
Kudo just hates all living beings.
Yes,
Just
I
need to
want
become the next god of death.
I want to be Thanos, yes. Actually, I guess for this would be Thanatos.
True.
Anyway, so I think the plan, Trevor, is I guess we'll do this in pieces. We'll ask Ash if at first send a sending Aramea to see if she's Mielikki's responsive.
Okay.
And if so, relay a message if she's willing to be transported to a place where she can be.
Okay. So, in
But
response,
it's from Ash.
yeah. In response,
Well, before you do, wouldn't I be able to get, like, if I can do divination for free, so I'll just divine that question first. And if she's conscious, then she would presumably be able to respond.
Okay, so your question being, if we had to remove you in order to save you, would you let us?
Yes.
Okay. Oops, wrong thing. Just gonna read divination real quick. So,
I could technically also use divination to speak with Armea. So it says that God's servants as well.
Well, regardless, like, we'll get our answer if we don't get an answer.
Yeah.
going forward on the regular sort of divination. Extenuating circumstances. I'm going to have you make a check to make this a bit easier for yourself. I would say probably an insight check. Well, maybe. You know what? No. Fuck the check for right now. Maybe James won't need whatever. So let's start there. In response to your divination, you don't receive some kind of a message or a rhyme or an omen or something like that. But you feel lightheaded and a bit faint for a moment. And you become overwhelmed with this deep feeling of concern for the natural world. I'm sure it's not something that's totally foreign to you, worrying about the future of the natural world, but this is... It has a different flavor from your own thoughts. You feel some desperation in your chest. Like your whole body was full of air and it made you queasy. This full of empty kind of feeling. A definite sense of desperation. Do with that what you will. I guess you can roll dice based on that if you need to.
Oh. It's tough because, I mean, the best way for her to make sure that the natural world can continue, or at least at some point be returned back to the way that it should be, is to stay around. Could I make an insight check to try to think
Sure.
on, like, whether or not that would be Mielikki's goal, or if it's unnatural to her to try to stay alive? And I'll use my shifting ability, so...
Fair enough. Yeah, I would say I see how this could. That's a sense of foreboding about what is about to happen. Okay,
Didn't need it.
so digging through this feeling, you don't feel a sense of self-preservation. It is a desperation so profound that imagine you were going to try to save your family from, say, certain death or something. It would be nice if you lived. But if it was for sure that your death was the only way, well, if you were that desperate, maybe you would do it. So, of course, you feel this worry from her. Concern for herself. We're all like that. But it is mixed up in something that is more profound. More... She's desperate for more than her own life, shall we say.
Mm-hmm. I'll look to the others and kind of explain that she may not be willing right now. There could be a way for me to talk to her for just a little longer. If you are to open up a gate, I could always plane shift to the Beastlands. I could speak with her briefly.
You know what happens if you plane shift. We're aware of
It's
this
if I
now.
come back to the material. That is the big issue.
Just so you're aware, you are most definitely on the material at this moment. But
yeah, I know, but
yeah, if you come back here.
Yeah.
I don't think that's wise. But the fact is...
Well, I won't have to shift back. If she opens the gate, I'm going to stay, as we saw with Calaru. And I could step through with Mielikki.
If you step through, though, you'll lose time. It doesn't matter.
But remember, it's all based on how long I'm there. I'm there for 30 minutes.
How are you going
An
to
hour
speak
and 10.
with her? We couldn't even speak with her beforehand. That was the whole reason we went on this fucking journey to begin with. What makes you think all of a sudden you can do it?
I'm not saying that she can speak back to me, but if I was just able to get through to her in this sense, then maybe there is still some form of consciousness in her.
I'm not doubting there isn't a form of consciousness in her. I'm doubting her ability to communicate said thing.
This or we have to fight an unwilling god.
We don't have to fight shit. She can barely move.
Well, barely moving god is still stronger than vast majority of things.
And as we've discovered, even powerful, they can still be fucking killed. Had we decided that's the route we would have gone, we could have done that, but we're not. I'm not saying this isn't going to be easy by any stretch, but I don't think it's out of our possibilities. But look, I can't force you to do one thing or another, as it's been abundantly clear. If you wish to plane shift there and try to speak with her, we need to we'll need a timeline of things, because frankly, Ash will need to know when to gate her. Otherwise, we should just do that now.
By plane shift, I could shift like right into where her domain is, right?
I believe so. Plane shift says you could go into like the city of Brass on the plane of fire, or just the plane of fire. Plane shift OP.
And then, what was the time difference that Rolgar had kind of half mathed out?
I think it was like 1 to 7, but the challenge is it doesn't really account for multiple transgressions of this.
What do you mean?
I thought it was like 1 to 15.
Or one, like for every 1 second you're there, it's like 15 seconds there, or like 1 minute would be 15 minutes, and that would you lose time. But we've done this jump now a number of times. I don't know if every time we do it, it'll become.
I think that's what Rolgar had like confirmed with us. The reason that we took so long in the Hells was because it was so foreign to the material plane, and so the time difference between the two of them was immense. Where the Beastlands is similar to the material plane.
Look, we lost date. Remember, that's how Calro got the jump on us, because when we went to scout out the Beastlands, then we came back. Remember, we weren't in the Beastlands that long. And then we came back, and all of a sudden, Caloril knew everything. I remember that, like, we weren't there long, and then we came back. It was enough time for Caloril to get the jump on us when we attempted to do this thing to her. Or, sorry, him. I don't know. You could take the staircase. It won't be that long for us, but it would be long for you.
Yeah, honestly, pretty quick for me, because I could just wind walk.
Well, I don't know how the staircase works like that.
It does. If I fly close to the stairs.
No, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the staircase might not recognize your speed. You get there when you get there, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is infinite.
It's like the staircase in Mario, like the original Mario, where you're running up the stairs and you're running as fast as you can, and you still are not going anywhere.
It's so cool that they managed to pull that off with the technology of the time. Like,
yeah.
It's so nuts that they were able to do it. But
so that's my only point. Like, you do it. Like, you want to take the staircase, it'll take you a while. It'll be minutes for us, I guess, in comparison. But it's the safer way to do it without you risking too much. Then again, we could just say fuck it and take, as I mentioned before, take an unruly patient who has lost their ability to self-advocate and apply our own medicine.
Stick Mielikki in a straitjacket, throw her on the cart, and roll her into the intensive care unit. Stat.
She has lost her ability to reason.
Why don't we
Duncan slash
discover
Kudo,
the
you're very sure of a god that is unconscious on like not being able to really fight back, but
I'm not.
I
saying
myself
that
am
she
not.
can't. I'm not saying that she
And bringing
can't fight
her
back.
to the
I'm-
material and just having to force her to do this is a little daunting to me.
I didn't say that it's gonna be easy. That's why I think Ash should be given every ability to try to pull her in. And if she starts, I don't know, like flailing about, like in sending things into chaos, we'll try to quote unquote sedate her, aka knock her unconscious.
Let's be honest. Lynn, he respects the shit out of Kudo, but he doesn't fully trust Kudo.
That's fair. That's a reasonable.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable thing that most people should feel around Kudo. But Kudo still will make that argument. It's up to, like, once again, Kudo can't, like, hey, I don't control you, I don't control Ash. If, for the most, you say, no, we're not gating, or no, we're not doing this, it's not like Kudo can physically say, well, I'm going to do it anyway, because Kudo physically can't. What's the use of this God Brain and Anastasia if I can't cast Gate?
Trying to think of a way that I could. Can anyone here see? Oh, no, because I can't scry from a separate plane.
That's the 12th level spell, Multiplanar Scry.
Wait.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm alright.
Kudo has said his piece. It's up to you, pretty much, what play you want to do.
Here's a question for you, Trevor.
Spit will side with you no matter what.
Divination, technically, says your magic and an offering put you in contact with a god or a god's servant. Doesn't specify what god. And it doesn't specify which servant. Could I theoretically use divination to ask Dalen a question?
This is a really weird workabout for message.
Yeah.
Well, let me think about it. I assume that, in general, when you ask a divination, you're probably asking it to, like, a realm. So, like, say, Mielikki. I'll ask Mielikki. Probably what actually happens to it is you go, care of Mielikki 001 Beastlands Unicorn Grove, right? Send it off, and then someone opens up that letter. Like, I'm sure it finds its way to the hands of a servant, usually, who's like, capable of answering your question, honestly. But Lynn, generally speaking, his communiques seem to reach pretty far. I feel like you could ask Thrym a question, and he might answer it, or he might have one of his underlings answer it, in which case, maybe it would end up with Dalen, but... Let me read divination real quick. I'm sorry, this is just too weird.
Why are you wanting to ask me a question?
Because if I go to the Beastlands and I speak with Mielikki, whenever I'm finished speaking, I could send you a divination, and that could be, doesn't matter what the question is, that could be the sign for you guys to try to gate her. Because I can't contact you guys from another plane.
Hey, where's that, I thought I had that raven. Hold on.
You know, I have to say, I think probably this could be done. I think this could be done. Number one, I think divination's is a higher spell than sending for a start.
Mm-hmm. It's a 4th level spell.
I could see the case for it. I would allow it. I think. I'm not sure in general that you could work your way up the ladder. What do I mean by this? I want to get in contact with Mielikki specifically, but I'm a 10th level druid or, whatever. Maybe she doesn't have time for me. But I'm sure your message could find its way down.
Mm.
That makes perfect sense to me. And also, you're basically using a 4th level spell to get a less good sending. So, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, I think that checks across the board. Not that I'm really concerned about game balance, obviously, but even in game balance terms, I think it's fine. I see your case for it, and I think that's probably reasonable.
I'm going to turn to the others and say, I need to make one last play. I understand it's inconvenient. I understand it could take a second. It's between that or having to struggle to try to help Mielikki. And I think it's worth it.
Kudo says, fine. If it's a struggle nonetheless, will you resist us then?
No.
Fine. Do what you need to do then. I'm just tired of wasting time.
I think you might be able to save yourself a spell slot. Balin hands you a small figurine of a silver raven. Just send it through the tree. Oh wait, never mind. That's not going to work. That's got the same plane of existence. Duh.
Send it on the same... He'll just fly around the beastland.
That's a struggle.
Save yourself
up. Well, no, the raven just appears and the Beastlands affects its consciousness and it just flies off.
Kudo hands you a rock token. Use this if you need to.
A rock? You just picked this up off the ground. I just watched you, Kudo.
Can you smell that the rock is cooking?
Okay, I'm out of here. Alright. Lynn is going to... So I can use transport via plants to get as close to the entry point of the infinite staircase as possible. And then use Wind Walk to essentially at immense speed traverse it. We're still in agreement that we don't know how long it'd actually take.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really know how the stairwell works in parallel to the material time either.
It has been thoroughly unexplained. So
yeah.
So
I'm gonna attempt it. I'm gonna try to get back to the Beastlands as quick as I possibly can.
You got it, boss. Well, for the rest of you, I want you for the next 35 minutes to think about how you spend these 30 seconds. And no, joking, of course.
I started to do a Mean Girls thing and behind the
back. What a backstory.
Lynn is so last millennium, bro. So Lynn,
the one thing I would do is I would turn probably to Spit, but I'll have if Sierra shows up so I can actually speak to her directly, that'd be better. But
yeah,
I'll wait to have that conversation if she jumps on.
Fair enough.
I'm also not holding my breath to see if she does come on today.
Yeah, might not be. Situation is developing, but
no, I mean I think that her priorities are in the right
place.
Are
in the right place, yes. That's why whenever she says she has to cancel, I'm always like, good for you. All right. So, Lynn, you know what I'm going to ask you to do.
No, I don't.
Oh, no? Well, you're using the infinite staircase.
Yeah. I'll roll a D100.
Yep. You had best hope. And say lower high. Lower high. So, like,
I'm gonna say
if you get it right, you're fine.
I'm gonna say low. I'm not feeling the dice.
All right, so it's going to be a 001. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Gotcha. Well then, your journey to the Beastlands will not be interrupted by, like, a 90-foot long centipede or something like that. However, this is the first time anybody's been traveling on the Infinite Staircase alone. So, we may discover some things about this. For instance, do you remember when you were told to pretty much have someone pick the place that you want to go? Someone who was the least emotionally distracted and who most wanted to actually get where you were going.
No,
No?
but sure.
Well, I wonder if there's a place that Lynn would rather be. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Probably not.
But let's just say I'm glad that Dalen isn't the one traveling alone on the staircase. I'm sure there is somewhere that he would rather be. In his heart of hearts, I have a funny feeling as, maybe the world of the living is not his bag anymore. Or, I shouldn't say that. You know what I mean, Dalen. Like, if the staircase took you to somewhere that you wanted to be most, yeah, you get what I mean. I can't think of anything for Lynn, which is the only reason that I'm not arbitrarily fucking you over by sending you somewhere.
Even if I wanted to die, I'd still go to the Beastlands.
But, like, I think you're probably right. Spit, I could fuck over Dalen. Traveling the Infinite Staircase alone is a good way to retire your character without them dying, by the way. So, but in this case, I can't think of a reason. Maybe on your trip back, I'll have thought of something by then. But
okay. I mean, genuinely, that's still if Mielikki actually does get gated, it's still like no. The one place I want to be is now the material.
Mm-hmm. So, the travel is long and exceptionally boring, and wears on the soul. It is such mind-numbing boredness, but that's the one type of fight that we're really not going to delve into in a tabletop game. This is my one small mercy toward you guys as actual real people. Boredom is a very, very real opponent in people's lives. But we're just going to kind of skim over that. So it takes a long fucking time. And it would be plenty of time to reflect on things. Plenty of time for Lynn's internal ecosystem, I guess, to develop with new information. And, like that you've already gotten. Kind of integrate all of that. Perhaps you're becoming calmer as you go, or perhaps things are starting to eat you alive a little more. Up to you to decide, really. But, at least in the case of the mundanity of traveling the stair, the endless lack of event or place, that at least does recede as you enter into the Unicorn Grove from the Infinite Staircase. It's quiet here in the Unicorn Grove right now. Not a serene quiet. You feel like a string has been pulled tight. You can feel the tension and the creatures that are here. It's not normally very loud here, but rather than things being peaceful and there just being nothing much to say, and we're all just enjoying ourselves, like watching a sunset, you don't often talk through that. But in this case, there's plenty to say, and no one is saying it. So you're watched by the things that creep in the undergrowth, and those that fly through the air, those that you've seen in your waking world, and those that you haven't. And it seems you're watched too by the air itself. That was almost a Dr. Seuss moment. Sorry. But as you follow your feet toward the place where you know Mielikki must be, which is not so much a place in 3 dimensions as it is sort of a place in your mind. Following that, you come to find that Armea has not left Mielikki's side. You still see the unmoving river still flowing through the Beastlands, through the Unicorn Glade, but Mielikki is no longer submerged in them. She is sat in the roughly same position that she was left. Her breath lightly clings with the smoke of the waters of the low road. And there, a very weary-looking Armea stands guard over her. She seems relieved to see you. She does her best to stand up, though she is evidently quite exhausted from the ordeal of what has happened to her as of recent. But she makes her way quickly over to you and giving you an expectant look and into your mind, putting it forward that she's eager to hear about how things went and what is the plan and what did you learn and so on.
Lynn will, he'll silently walk over towards, where Mielikki's head is and kind of beckon Armea over. And he sits on the ground and beckons Armea to sit or lay near her head as well.
Takes her a moment. She settles down onto the ground next to Mielikki, as if she's, fighting a stronger gravity to try not to just sort of fall over.
I'm running out of options, Armea. I'm fearful the only way to save Mielikki is to weaken her. I don't know if the way to save her would keep her in the same mantle that she is. Lynn, in kind of almost uncharacteristically, he just starts crying. And he looks to Armea and he says, I genuinely don't know what to do, Armea. I may be a strange fusion of things, but I'm still a man. all I know is what I truly want. And I want her to live. I love her and I don't want to see her die. I don't want to see the forest changed either, but just don't know what to do anymore.
She says, "You love the woman inside?"
Yeah. Because someone who would take up this mantle and to do what she has. I've only known the natures of this day and time, but it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's harmonious and accepting. Well, in some places. And an individual who would be willing to make something as beautiful as that, I can only see they would be that beautiful inside.
She nods her head very slowly. She says, "You speak from the heart, not only yours, but of all those that linger on here in her grove. You give a voice to what I am feeling as well. And I would do anything." It's a strange thing to have a creature communicating with you telepathically sound so strained. She says, "You are not alone. It is not clear what to do to any of us. But," she says, "I know that you are faithful to her, and you would never do anything to hurt her."
Then he rests his hand on Mielikki's face and he says, "Please, Mielikki, let me please try. I know it's selfish. I know it's vain. Others look to me for strength, and I'm fearful that it's all a farce. That I will fight to the end, no matter what. If you must be weakened, I'll always be by your side, and I will be fighting hand in hand with you to ensure that nature is always like this. Even if things change, we can make it right again. I just need your strength to do that."
I don't know why I'm typing this. Mielikki's sort of uneven very labored breathing is a constant companion throughout what you say to her. And it seems to be the only response that you get. Aramea stands and slowly comes around Mielikki. As you're sort of, slumped over Mielikki, Aramea dips her head and puts it underneath your arm where it is, where you have your hand resting on Mielikki's face. Aramea sort of goes underneath your arm as if to support you and pull you up. She looks to Mielikki, and although you can see on her face she's wounded to see Mielikki like this, but in a voice that says that although she probably believes what she's saying, she doesn't feel the same as how what she is telling you. She says, "I believe in you, Lynn. And even if she can't hear you, she must know. She's wiser than any of us. She must know already. Lynn, you found this place. To me, that says that Mielikki trusts you. I haven't left here because I don't think I could find the way back. But you found her. She must know how you feel. She must trust you. And if she doesn't, then I do. Because I've seen what you can do. You are a man. But even Mielikki was once. That doesn't mean that you can't do it. I think you can. I have seen who you really are.
Len looks to Armea and says, "Me and my companions, to save her, we have to bring her away from here. I don't know what will happen when she's gone. And I don't know if what will happen to her. Well, if it will be good for the Beastlands. This part of it.
Lynn, the forest is Mielikki's creation, her labor of love. All that grows is hers. I'm sure, I know. We do not love the forest fire, but still they must sometimes burn. Sometimes, if the forest is sick, they must.
Lynn stands up. Has this technically been more than a day for him?
In the
Since he
Beastlands?
traveled this... No, since he traveled the staircase, like, would he have gotten a long rest?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it was a long time.
Yeah. Keep you and your kin safe. Right?
If she isn't here, I can rejoin the others.
You'll see me again in these lands. Be it in this form or maybe another. And Lynn is going to use divination.
Before you do that,
In another world.
in another world, after I killed Dalen, you have no one to divine to. Basically, whilst you're
He
having
has
your own
foresight on him.
whilst you're having another conversation, Kudo's having his own the group, mainly directed at Spit, but obviously with a forum of the rest of the group. And Spit's the only one who is at most odds with Kudo at any given time. But Kudo says, I find that this whole experience on Lynn quite taxing. And I don't fault him for his emotions around this. After all, I went through something relatively similar, if not on a smaller scale, say. This is more on a larger scale. But I fear that his emotional well-being is getting in the way of what needs to be done, regardless of what he's saying. I turn to Spit directly and I say, Trevor, you might want to be Spit for this because I don't necessarily want to score Sierra playing it, but I could. I would say to Spit directly and to the rest of the group.
Just gonna sort this out for a second. Sorry.
Now I can talk about James behind his back too.
Get James.
Is that better? Is my mic better?
We gotta kill James. That's the only way to kill Lynn.
Are you suggesting that we push him towards godhood?
No, here's what Kudo is suggesting. He may not have the mental bandwidth to accept such a responsibility, but I literally embody it currently. I can see and I know things beyond what most mortals can see. I know you don't necessarily, I say this mainly to Spit, and I say, I know you don't take me seriously half the time, just given my brusque nature, but I am no fool, and I do know beyond most things I'm not simply an acolyte or a follower of a deity. I have pieces of them inside of me. I might not be as powerful as the prime deities, but I do have the ability to see things and know things that others don't. Lynn talks about nature as beautiful, and perhaps based on certain views, it is. Nature is neither good nor evil. Nature is about survival of the fittest. Nature doesn't care about life or death. It just continues as is. The lion doesn't care about the lamb, just mainly if it will provide a meal. Nature needs to be sustained so that life can continue, but it doesn't care one way or the other.
I think Spit is going to
Lynn may
probably
not-
shock everyone. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, I'll just finish on the point saying I would not allow emotions to get in the way what must be done. I have only done that once, and that was when I blew up, damn it, I'm blanking on her name when we were in that. We were about to make a trade for the Eye of Vecna, and I just was like, wait, you're the one who took my son?
Dear Malak.
Dear Malak. So I only did that, I acted on emotion, so I understand where Lynn's coming from. But I theoretically made things harder for us because of emotions. I feel like it's similar here, but on a grander scale.
Spit says, I hate to say this, guys, but I agree with Kudo. I think, however, this shakes out, we're going to lose Lynn. No offense, Kudo, but he's my brother.
Of course.
I think if Mielikki can't be fixed, with probably the weirdest look that you've ever seen come from Spit, a look that tells you, Kudo, a deep resolution and resignation, and a look that says, how can I be saying this? Well, here it goes. I got your back, Kudo.
I mean, Kudo's actually pretty surprised by that. Kudo says, I wish no harm to Lynn. After all, without his help, without all of your help, my son would not be saved. And I truly respect and have nothing but the strongest of gratitude for all. I do not wish harm to come to Lynn. If he becomes erratic, we may need to subdue him. Not kill, subdue. Order to do what must be done. I'm saying that to the group, so anybody, Spit's kind of agreeing with me now. I don't know what you're all thinking. Okay, I guess.
Well, a resounding silence. People seem conflicted, it would seem. Not ready to cast their vote, but
Here's where I'm at with it. Assuming that we are trapped in some sort of demi-plane version of actual reality, and there is no door, in order to fix things, we're going to have to break them. And in all honesty, I cannot think of anybody who is better equipped at absolutely breaking the shit out of everything than Kudo Blackhand. So if it comes down to it, I cannot believe that I am saying this, but I agree with Spit. And, by extension, you.
I give Dalen a nod. And then I look at Mothrin.
I think I'll agree with Dalen unless... I'm still on the fence, I would say.
I mean, this is not a decision to be taken lightly, Mothrin. I don't begrudge anyone having to make decisions of this level.
It is a hard
However,
choice to make, I would say.
Yeah. Although I respect all of your opinions, there may be a voice that I respect the most. No offense to all of you, and I turn to Ash and say, Ash, I understand your views of politics, understand your views of power, and frankly, you are one of the few people that I would theoretically trade my own life for. Out of everybody here, how do you feel about all of this?
I know that you're looking to me to make a decision in this moment, and I feel that I've exercised my strong opinions in situations where I've truly had them. This is a situation in which I don't think this isn't my decision to... Not that it would be my decision to make, but it isn't even my decision really to influence. There are plenty of people here that I respect and who have given this a lot more thought than I have a lot more at stake than I do in this. I think we defer to them as I would have wanted in situations where I had my emotions at stake.
Understood, Ash.
Soren, who's been quiet through most of this, just kind of looks at you, Ash, and says, there is a touch of regality about you, I think. I don't suppose you are a president or a dictator of some kind.
I guess you could say that.
Call it a hunch. Sorry, I'm not here.
I also turn to Drognin, but Drognan's like, look, I barely understand what's going on half the time as it is.
And this isn't the half.
As long as you don't hurt Lynn, I'll just be here with my bow and my sword and my pocket bread.
All right. I buy that.
I've been inside drugs ever since Tyler's. I've just been inside drug all this time. Sometimes I just do method acting with drug. I go around and I put bread in my pocket and I walk the streets.
And you swing your sword around like Viggo Mortensen on the cast of Lord of the Rings.
I've nearly been arrested a couple times in Times Square. It's been great.
Surprised anybody gave you a second look knowing Times Square, but anyway. No, it's not. It appears fun on the outside, but anyway. So, Lynn, although he was gone for a long time, was only actually would have felt gone for like the duration of his conversation, which around this time Dalen, you would get a divination, which says... Lynn?
Are you all prepared?
One more. No, go for it.
An icy voice comes across your mind, Dalen. It's not a voice that you recognize. Like, it doesn't seem or sound like Lynn, but rather it it rumbles with the deep and icy cold of, like, the Arctic wind. And it says, "Are you all prepared?"
Oh. That was weird. Dalen looks around at the group and asks if we're ready to break for Lynn to come back, or try and get an arcade or a gate spell going, or whatever it is that we're doing. I
Well,
forget
turn to
where we
Ash.
ended.
Well, Ash is the one who can do it.
Ready when y'all are.
All right.
I think it probably makes the most sense just to do it as a wish.
Okay.
Lynn, you get the resounding sound of yes.
Okay.
And the voice of Thrym, the ancient giant spirit of ice, calls down into your mind with a resounding "Yee-haw." I really hope that makes an appearance in our next campaign. I hope I can work that sequence in again somehow. The icy spirit of the giant kind calls out a mighty yeehaw. So, the signal has been given. Gonna cast it by wish. There was some discussion about Mothrin maybe inspiring you and whatnot.
I mean, assuming. It
yeah.
doesn't. Just in case.
Sure. I mean, I'll accept it. I'll be inspired.
All right.
Okay.
This is a good plan, at least on paper. Please don't fuck up Mother Nature.
I used Cinepahache to put alacrity on Dalen, Ash, and Spit just in case.
Okay. So, Lynn, as the yeehaw comes back, do you make any short preparations? You should only have a few moments, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really do is just look down to Mielikki one last time and I go, please. If you love me, let me help you.
Ultimatums? My goodness.
If you love me, let you go. Okay. A gate spell then. Via wish.
Yep.
So
In the forge. I love that.
You call deep into the weave and summon to this great magical energy which begins to coalesce in a large archway before you. And you speak the name of Mielikki. And a window into the Beastlands opens. You can see three figures. The slumbering god, Linhirn, and Armea. And the appearance of the water behind Mielikki is that of a great hungering void, like a vortex, from your guys' position on the other end of the gate. And the slumbering Mielikki begins to be pulled forward toward the gate. And yet you can see that a great many roots and vines cling to Mielikki's body, seeming to have grown out of the ground as if a person resting on a mattress for a long time begins to fuse, grow into the mattress. I know, disgusting. But these vines and things growing perhaps from Mielikki or perhaps to the ground, they are one and the same. And they, as she is raised up, almost... Have you guys played Baldur's Gate 3? You must have, I'm sure. If you used to speak with that spell, they kind of like lift off of the ground with their head like snapped back. The vines pull at her back, pulling taut, such that as she's trying to come through the gate, there is some deep resistance. Ash, you feel something that you have not felt the last time that you had a gate spell. You feel a resistance. You feel like a pull on yourself. When you go fishing, if you catch something big enough, sometimes it's not so much you're pulling at it as it's pulling at you. Can you please make a spell casting check?
So is that just with my charisma modifier, or
Like a spell attack, basically.
like a spell attack?
Yeah, basically a spell attack.
Okay. Plus 14. Oh.
Lynn, you of course can see what is happening here. These words that you say to Mielikki.
You might as well use the inspiration.
Fine. It's a D12.
Yep.
As
Nice.
the vines are pulling at Mielikki, Lynn, you feel this deep twanging of some chord inside you. It is a feeling unlike any other. Or is it? You've felt this once before. And calling out to the plant-like creatures that blocked your path on your way to meet Mielikki. You had felt there is a connection between you and all that is of the natural world. You feel it being pulled upon. You feel your connection to Mielikki is very strong. You feel her hesitation, her instinctual fear. The part of a person that is sometimes immune to things like logic, reason, something that only responds to a very short list of things. And in this part of her, you feel Mielikki is afraid. Do you want to push her along?
Yeah.
Do you want to make... I'll, I guess, give you your choice. You could try and reach out with this to perhaps persuade her. Or you could reach out with this to try and pull back the vines. Sort of sever their connection from her.
Could I even cast, like, Speak with Plants? To make it even easier for myself and, like, lay a hand on the vines and say, I want to save her. I want to save these lands. And if things don't change now, they'll die.
So you are trying to sort of assuage, then. For using Speak with Plants, I will give you advantage if you want to make a persuasion check at advantage. I know it's not exactly your primary forte, but...
My worst thing.
Nice.
advantaged out. Thank God.
And so,
Thank Mielikki.
as you speak, not only to the ground around, but like a string through a can, you're in a really speaking to Mielikki, in a sense. And hoping that she can hear or at least feel your intention, you attempt to assuage her. Some of the vines begin to pull away, dropping the DC to 35. Now, 25, 12, it's 11, sorry, is 36. So, fucking commercial, Verizon, fuck you! We're inside the middle of something important here. Sorry. Ash, you begin to, as this is pulling on you, plant your feet, in a sense, and pull back. And through great effort, surrounded by those that you have trusted your life to so many times before, with that assuredness, you pull, unwilling to stop. And as some of the vines on the other side begin to recede from her body, the ground slowly letting go, she begins to move further forward. Through the gate. And as she comes forward, as the first, micrometer of her is through the gate, in the workshop, in the cracks and the corners, plants begin to spring up. Little hardy flowers, like dandelions in the cracks of the concrete. Anywhere that they can get their roots into some soil, however minuscule. Lynn, it would appear that Mielikki is going through that gate. Armea looks to you. Even for someone of your insight, there's so much going on within Armea that it would be nearly impossible to puzzle it all out. But I'm sure that you could have a guess. To say the least, she seems conflicted. But she neither pushes Mielikki along nor stops her. She watches her go like a ship with her beloved is sailing away, and there's nothing she can do about it. Like the Trojans set back Helen, I know that they did not, that's the whole point, but
Lynn gives Armea a hug and says to her, I'll ensure that these lands are safe, no matter what it takes.
She closes her eyes for a moment, and she says, I know you will. Now go. And she takes a step back from the gate, looking to those on the other side. And awaits your departure.
And I'll follow Mielikki through. Now, if I remember from last time, Trevor, I don't make this as an argument. Last time we went through a gate, we didn't lose time. Because we immediately went right into a battle with Caloril when we planarly shifted.
And as far as you could tell, yeah, no time had been lost yet.
So I'll go through the gate.
Okay.
do we notice anything anything with Lynn immediately coming through?
I mean, beyond the fact that he seems a little preoccupied by the fact that we are currently abducting his god.
Yes, if him being concerned would be a good sign. But if all of a sudden you had like a glaze over his eyes, that would be its own thing.
There is a moment as he steps through. Of course, I imagine that most people nearby are kind of concerned with, like, okay, sit her down, guide her over, that's like a multi-person job. There is a moment where Lynn seems sort of dead on his feet, like a little wobbly. He puts his hand up against a wall. And he just seems to take a moment in silent reflection for a minute or three while Mielikki gets settled back in. And then he seems to stand up and look around the workshop. I'm sure probably not that relieved or anything, just more present, having taken a moment, it seems, to collect himself. I should say, in the meantime of this all taking place, Enkidu has quietly plucked up Anastasi from her place and wrapped her in the cloth that was covering the anvil. And he has taken her to one of those little side rooms there and laid her down in the burial cloth. And he sort of left it there, but now seeing this gate open and Mielikki floating through, as you guys all, he gives a hand into settling her into place. And then, as he looks at her, he looks back to his forge, which has been, cold, and back to Mielikki, and as if just becoming real, a few moments ago. He, as you guys do whatever it is you're going to be doing here for the next couple of minutes, he begins to, he walks over to the forge and begins to open the taps, which, even for a creature as big as him, requires a lot of, knocking on them with the hammer. It seems that they have been closed for a while. And with, with a large spike, like a chisel kind of thing, and a hammer, up into each of the taps, he runs the spike with the hammer and, works it around. And when he rips it free, this, scattering of this, igneous rock, shattering all over the place, that he then, kind of with his hand, even as the lava is falling toward it, he reaches his hand down and just, picks up the pieces and sets them on the ground and continues to do this same thing. And the lava flowing from the taps until it is full. And then he begins to scoop this kind of, the floating bits of igneous rock, kind of scoop them out with this sort of, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, it would kind of resemble a cat litter scoop, but longer and flatter. I'm kind of scooping these pieces out as the lava pools up, as the elemental fire, should I say, pools up within the forge itself. So yeah, as he's doing that, as Lynn kind of seems to have taken a moment for himself, he's fine now.
Alright. Since I technically rested because of the time difference, I'm going to go up to Enkidu, and I'm going to give him foresight. So technically, I'm casting it again while the other's duration is going. So I think the foresight on Dalen ends. 'Cause it
It'd be
does say this
interesting.
spell immediately ends if you cast it again before its duration ends.
It's funny because I'm guessing he just turns to you going, I can see beyond what like, it's like, I have foresight beyond foresight, bitch.
Well, here you go.
That's-
There's more.
when you cast this upon him, he looks back over his shoulder at you with confusion for a moment, and looks around the room to various places, and then back to you. He gives you a simple nod of not so much understanding, but maybe like the first little strings of understanding that once you start to put them together become understanding. Once you weave them into a blanket. He seems to be grasping the threads of what just happened to him. And he gives you a simple nod of maybe thanks? It's difficult to say. He continues back to his work. And now that the lava is, or the elemental fire is falling into this channel over the forge, he calls to those gathered and says, sorry, just have to do something back. All right, so he says, I will need some space. He, like as if he would part the waters with his hands, he kind of, to all of you. And with no tools, he simply approaches Mielikki and begins to look her over, praising her. He nods, he reaches for something and finds it not on the forge. He, seeing that it's not there, he goes into this little side room over here, and he comes back with a long piece of what looks like it's like a gold rod, just like a hunk of gold. It looks like a piece of chalk in his hands, to be honest, but it's like a solid gold rod. And a small piece of like a metal plate, basically. That, just this squared off, roughly square piece of metal. And he makes a sort of a jagged line on it as he looks at her. Almost like he's sketching something down. He takes this gold and rubs it hard enough on this metal that it actually leaves like a gold scraping, like a golden chalk line, and makes this very jagged mark. And after appraising her for a moment, you can see that this jagged line divides this piece of metal into two pieces, but they're not equal. They're very unequal. It's like one is like the lower 70%, lower left 70%, and then the upper right 30% is where that line separates them. And after looking at it for a moment, he puts a small, scratching in the smaller piece, the sort of upper right. I cannot see this sickness, but I can see its work. If this is the sickness that you talk of, then I would suppose that you all, too, you are sick with it as well, are you not?
Yeah.
I believe hers... Sorry. Hers is worse. That is how I know that you must all have this same thing. You have peculiar souls. But if it is a sickness ragging her, it makes sense why hers appears this way. A soul is usually one piece. To my eyes, you all look to have two. Two pieces. The piece of her, which I see the signs of this sickness, is this one. And this metal piece that he's been like gold chalking on, he turns it to you guys, and his finger rests over the much larger portion, the like 70% lower left of this piece of metal. The part of her that is sick is much, much greater than the part of her that is not. I see in her some of the same spirit as Anastasia once had. I see in her that same change that Anastasia could bring. She has a body of the elements as well. And yet all are affected. I hear that when a horse is injured, if its leg is broken, the breaking of the leg is enough to kill the horse, because the horse is not worth saving. In her case, the leg is all that remains unbroken. It will not be easy to save her. He looks at Lynn. I believe I know the answer. But would you give your life for her?
In a moment.
Step forward. Let me look at you.
One steps forward.
He reaches out with his giant hand, and as if shielding the light from you for a moment, he hovers, like his hand is like as big as you damn near, and he sort of like hovers it over you as if like trying to get just the right lighting, and he nods. And onto this piece of metal, he chalks like several symbols, and he says, I cannot grant you understanding that I have. But if I were to explain it to a younger me, I would say like this. This is your soul. The pieces of it. And he marks these several symbols. And when he marks them down on this piece of gold, they seem to almost alight in your mind. With like a light or maybe an energy or something. And you feel their resonance, like a deep familiarity about them. He says, each soul is different, as a snowflake is. But there are commonalities. These are yours. They speak to your place among the natural order. They speak to your relation to the elements. They speak to your domain. In that way, you and your lady, your souls are closely aligned. To put it in simple terms, her affairs are not so different from your affairs. The elements are of her as they are of you, and so they are the natural order of things. Every soul is different, but yours are close. To my eyes, there are two pieces. In her, the healthy is the smaller of the two. I am sorry to say this, but it is the case in you as well. Yours are nearly equal. But I would say that the sick is the greater of the two, if only by a little.
I had a feeling.
It is unproven what I say now. I have made a body. I have made it from the raw stuff of the elements. I have never done what we are proposing to do. But I feel. When you see these symbols, do they feel familiar to you? Do they feel like a mirrored surface looking back at you, broken into your parts? He shows you again this thing of symbols. Have you ever, you played Slay the Spire, right? Okay, this would be...
Yeah.
You know how sometimes there's stuff written and it seems to like jump out at you?
Yeah.
You almost feel that looking at this. And they sort of like jump out at you and you almost feel like, yeah, that's me, kind of. Like, if someone was to write a mathematical formula that's shorthand for, you know, like, moon druid, follower of Mielikki, and, like, you know, son of a demigod of change, like, it's just something about it. It's not you in the same way that you are you, but it is kind of, you know, it's almost like your name in an elemental sense. It does kind of feel like you. It's like if he was writing Linhirn on the paper. Is this you? No, the words on the paper are not you, obviously. But no,
like
that
the
is
true name is from Aragon.
But he says, do you feel that this is you?
Could I make a perception check to ensure that it is, like, as close to me as possible? Or insight,
Well,
or...
I should say, your natural insight does tell you that it's not so much the specifics of the name that he's telling you, but more like, do you feel... He's putting a lot of emphasis on feel. Do you feel that this is you? Not do you know it somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels like me.
He says, I feel. Somehow, between the two of you, one can be made. The slag can be boiled up and scraped away. It is, I feel, possible. He looks to Kudo and then to Spit, one after the other. And again, you feel this tingling in your forehead and in your chest when he looks at you. He turns from you, Lynn. He goes to Kudo. And with this golden chalk, he writes some symbols. And he shows it to Kudo. And as he's showing it to Kudo, he writes symbols and glances in Spit's direction, and he looks back and forth between the two of you. He says, "These are you." And then he begins to write some symbols over all three of you. This is her. He looks over his shoulder to Lynn, and then back to Spit and Kudo. And he says, "Look at her." He's like holding the thing in front of you, so he means the symbols that seem to be her sort of chemical makeup, if you will. Kudo, as you look at these symbols, they don't all resonate with you, but some of them do seem to sort of call out to you in some familiar way. Like there's something in you that does align with something of Mielikki. And Spit says, "Yeah, I feel it. What is that?" And he says, he kind of like half shakes his head, half shrugs his shoulders, like I don't really know how to say it, but he says, "You two also are close. Further than he, but close." Could I make an insight check as Enkidu casts his gaze over you one more time?
I don't even think with pluses that's going to be super good.
Well then.
I'll double check the actual number, but
Yours might be 12 if you're 5%.
no, it's 15.
Dang.
So an average insight into what's been shown.
Yeah. This doesn't reveal a ton, but yeah, I guess just what was already just said there. But
got it.
He returns to Mielikki's side and says, "It will not be easy. There are things I will need. There is so much impurities here. More heat is needed. The forge must burn hotter. Here are collected the runoff from the great plain of fire. As they flow, they have time to cool. We must prevent it somehow."
I think we have something to heat your forge.
The nightmare is still up, theoretically. Or if we needed to resummon it.
Oh, we also have the moat.
Oh yeah, the mote of fire.
Show me.
Bring from the bag the most like crystalline flame.
And he holds his hand out. It's going to be like a little marble to him. He looks at it. And seeming to think that urgency is the better part of asking how exactly you got a hold of this, he instead very simply says, "This will work, I believe. This will work. Other things could be helpful. Other strong and pure elements, perhaps. I suppose a way to assuage the soul, though I do not think such a thing can be got at an early enough time. If you are truly willing. And he says, looking at the marble, not at any of you, it could be done. The willingness I feel is a greater part even than the alignment of the two souls. None could be forced into such a thing. If you have doubts or a reservation, it would be very damaging to the process. It could mean it cannot happen at all.
I believe in the possibility of this. I do not doubt our ability to see it done. We have killed gods before. We have killed tyrants. We've killed devils. We have brought beings back to life.
Then come forward if you are willing. Again, he looks to his tools now.
Kudo looks at Lydon, looks at Spit. Kudo steps forward.
Doubt in my mind. If there's any way to save this piece of Mielikki, I'll give every single ounce of myself that I can.
It will take all the ounces, my friend. That which is you, I feel, will be gone. That which is you goes to save that which is her.
I'm fine with that.
I look at Spit.
Enkidu nods to in Dalen's direction and says, "Bring me the body of Anastasia. It too will be needed." And Enkidu approaches Mielikki, scoops her ass up like he's carrying his wife over the threshold of their new home.
How dare you touch her ass?
And no, more like under her knees, and brings her to stand to a rest just in front of this pool of elemental fire. I'm assuming Dalen brings her over. And as you are gathered,
Yeah.
Anastasia is brought forward, and he Enkidu nods to Dalen to set her down. And he picks Anastasia up, supporting sort of the back of her neck and like her lower back. And like he's teaching a kid how to swim or something, you just, all right, hold your breath. I'm just going to set you down. He puts his hands into this elemental fire. You can hear it just sort of sizzling away, and some of his bestial hair sort of catching fire at the edges. And he sets her down. She seems not to burn very fast, but he takes a piece of this moat, or he takes the moat, should I say, and he places it on top of her chest. And it seems, despite being so small, to weigh her down, push her underneath. And the fires of this thing begin to rage ever hotter, turning into like a stark, white, pure light that just radiates an insane amount of heat. And begins to, he moves Mielikki into place just at the front, not touching the fountain. And he says, "Let any willingness be banished. Now it is time." Lynn, you feel Spit's hand on your shoulder, like resting on your shoulder. And Spit says, "You're my brother, Lynn. So I'm sorry." Spit is going to attempt to grapple Lynn.
I'll fucking turn into a wind elemental.
I mean, if you want to do
Shit.
this, by I don't know, initiative, I did give Spit alacrity.
Indeed. I will say it seems only fair that Lynn, being a highly perceptive and highly insightful person, might, just prior to this, sniff this out. I'm going to say, I don't know.
How did Lynn know this? We were so careful.
No, I just mean might sniff out that something is wrong. Okay, I would say, look, these are... Spit, if anyone, is going to be someone that probably Lynn has his guard down around. So why don't we use passive insight? So, what's your 10 plus your insight skill? Right?
It'd be 21.
Okay. Good luck, Spit. Good lord. Hold on a second. 2 seconds. Mothrin, check your messages, please. Gotcha. Just checking something. Trying to find Spit's sheet as well, but I think it's less than +5. I think it is less than +5.
I would probably say so too. So
His charisma, I think, is like +1.
yeah. So that's my guess is it would have had to be like in that. Well, yeah, probably would have been in that 20.
Probably so. If he'd help in certain ways, but the people who can help him are not the ones. Like, Lynn can help him, but so it is. Lynn, you just get this momentary prickle up your spine. Like, Spit seems maybe not sorrowful enough to be losing you. I will say you are not surprised when this happens. So I guess it comes to initiative if that's how we want to do it.
All right.
Well, Spit has advantage and a plus D8.
Okay, so 14 plus D8. 22.
Yeah, mine's 14.
Yeah, you missed some things.
Yeah, Spit's trying to... I'm willing to give myself up to save Anastasia, and now Spit's trying to fucking
Stop.
grab me.
And
Yeah.
let Kudo do what he needs to do.
And Kudo, you want to roll initiative? I'm sure it'll be
Sure.
absurdly high, but okay.
Do you want me to add the D10? Because I will.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, fine.
It would seem that Spit and Kudo are much more prepared, and so as she attempts to grapple you, fuck. I wish I had like more knowledge of her sheet. Probably she would like try to.
What element is Spit currently embodying? Because that would also matter.
Possibly the wind, if she... character.
Spit wouldn't... I don't think Spit has the ability to change at will. So
You're right,
they
you're
would have
right.
had
I think it's fire.
So
Yeah,
they won't have the earth grasp or the air to counter, but...
although
Spit does
the
have
true
fire.
flame haste thing might eventually... But she
Yeah.
holds Lynn, not like squeezing so hard that she hurts him, but like... Her body is... Spit's body is like a fucking rock surrounding you, even as it is. And she says, I can't let you. I'm so sorry. And is...
What do you do? Let me give my life. I'll still be around, just not as me.
You don't know that. Kudo. It is your go. Do you have anything that you want to do?
I go to hit Lynn and use Stunning Strike.
Okay, you got it. I would say you probably have advantage for flank.
So...
It's...
that... Yeah, alright, you gotta do
A con save.
a Constitution save.
Now, do I get Dalen's plus?
You probably... Like, Dalen still probably keeps, like, considers you...
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know.
I think probably
Dalen,
so.
are you let...
Okay, that's plus 5. 20.
That will save, but I have multiple hits.
Ah!
I'm not gonna roll damage, but like I'll do it after the fact if I have to. Second hit.
Definitely hits.
Yeah, hits.
Go ahead,
Yep.
Lynn.
That will
15.
not save.
So,
I stun you.
Motherfuckers.
Kudo, you quickly approach
Yeah.
Lynn, and with a punch to his gut to sort of knock the air out of him, and then like an open hand, probably like palm strike to his temple to sort of like discombobulate him. Does that sound about right?
With love. Bam.
Very tough love. And Lynn is then stunned for a moment. Enkidu, not seeming to take any notice of this, or rather just so focused on his work, sets Mielikki's body down into the flames, and she starts to heat up. Seeing Kudo standing there, he produces a large knife and he rests his hand on your whole entire back from head to toe. Not evenly, obviously, but like that's how big his hand is. And without him seeming to expect you to put up any resistance. He presses the blade to your chest, Kudo, and pushes in. Pretty sure it goes in, into your heart. You feel it going through your heart.
I have one of those?
Well, at least the thing that keeps blood pumping through your body.
Ah, so that's what that is.
And then, as he withdraws the blade, you feel something very strange happening. I will say, I know it lasts until sort of the start of your next turn. Spit has pulled Lynn closer to you in case this needs to happen again, but I will say, for being stabbed in the heart by this giant knife, for your next round of combat, you're probably rolling everything at disadvantage, Kudo.
That's fine. But that means, since he's stunned, it'd just be a straight roll.
Yeah. And the blade covered in the blood of your heart. He begins to tap the blade over the edge, which then flicks the blood down onto the softening body of Mielikki.
All right, so I will try to reattempt. If it's my round again, I will attempt to keep Lynn supplicated. So this is a straight roll, which will definitely hit, but you can still roll a save. That will definitely save with Dalen. All right, second hit. It's going to be above 20.
Yeah, my AC is 19.
Yeah, 22, so you still have to save again. That would
Save
also
again?
save. All right. Third hit. That's 20 to hit, so.
Yeah, it's...
All right, do it again.
The saves.
20.
The saves.
Bonus action. Okay, I'm putting in a key to do this. I'm spending a lot of key to do this. I'm going to use my thing that lets me roll madness. So that hits.
This is Kudo Blackhand trying his hardest to save your life. And also massively fuck you over, depending on who you ask. The save.
You made me use 4 key.
I don't care.
Lynn,
by the way, James,
you.
I hope you're okay with... I know that, Lynn's not okay, but I hope James is okay.
I mean, I don't have a choice in this.
Fair.
I'm okay with it, but fuck.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Lynn fighting to his very last, tapping Kudo completely out. But if we know one thing about Kudo, it's that when presented with a task or an objective, it's going to happen. How more clearly than this, Kudo, as the blood comes to rest on Mielikki, you feel something very strange. When you pulled that mote from Anastasi and consumed it, it changed you. Now you almost feel as though something is trying to pull it from you. Just like Ash earlier. You've got the big fish on the line now. This can go one of two ways, Kudo. And I gotta be honest with you, Duncan.
Yep.
This is as likely to go your way as another way.
You realize Kudo's stubbornness. If he were to die now, that hasn't even crossed his mind. That would be that's even possible.
Well, you feel it begin to pull. So now would be the time that Kudo needs to make his Riddick having his soul ripped out by the Necromonger's save.
Alright, so what am I rolling?
I feel like it's... This is a weird one. What I'm going to have you do is, what's your charisma bonus for save, and what is your wisdom bonus?
Alright, so my charisma bonus with a save is +6.
And then your wisdom
My
bonus
wisdom
for a save.
is 7 plus 5 is 12.
So 12 and 6?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to add those up, divide by 2. We're going to say you have a +9 to this save.
Okay.
Although Dalen is here. Dalen,
So
do you...
I assume
I assume you're on all of your friends' side at the moment. Unless you say otherwise, they all get the save.
Yeah, this is like a weird. This is like a weird gray area because, on the one hand, it's like I kind of want everybody to win,
But they
but
can't.
on the other hand, I also feel like we're all losing.
yeah.
So,
Mothrin, did you inspire me? Way would I have convinced you, or did you stay too neutral?
So Dalen, and
All right.
it seems that your choice is to let both of them have the bonus.
yeah,
So
I think
Okay,
I think
that's
it's
fair.
the fairest thing.
So I have a +14 then.
oh, you're going to
from
need
what
it.
I'm rolling.
Yeah, you're going to need it.
Okay.
So you're actually slightly more likely by +2
right,
to make
so
it than to not.
So can I roll?
Go and roll at +14.
If I fail a save, I can re-roll using a key point.
Because you have the mode of change in you. That's a 10.
That's still only a 24.
Well, like I said, you're with a +14, you are 2 points more likely to make it as to not. Meaning, you would have needed an 8. So, for your first save, you feel that you are holding your ground. Kudo, you begin to chest first lift into the air, and the blood from your heart is like pulling out of yourself and forming into this long, thin, spiraling channel that's slowly making its way to Mielikki. It's made its way about a third of the way. Enkidu looks to you, sets the knife at the edge of the elemental fire that is within this channel, and looks to Lynn and says, "It has begun. There is no road back now." He looks right at you, Lynn. He puts a hand on Spit's shoulder, and obviously his whole arm and part of his neck, and gives a very slight twisting motion, as if, like, let him up. Spit is no longer grappling you so much as sort of holding you, in the same way that... you remember when Spit slumped down after having revealed what Spit knew with the party yesterday? Or, last session. That sort of, just the strength seems to go out of him, and he's just telling you that he's sorry, that he can't lose you.
I mean, Lynn, slightly shaking off his stun, he looks at Spit with hate and vitriol. And just like a look of, how could you? See, when it comes down to it, I'm willing to give up everything for all of you, but you won't let me give up everything.
Someone has to look out for you, Lynn.
I don't care.
Kudo continues to pull off of the ground. His blood continues to come out. I need you to make another save, Kudo. Hopefully you got some key points in the stash, because,
I would do. Dalen, bless me! Bless me!
bless me, Dalen, for I have sinned. That's okay. So you spend another key point to make your next. From Mielikki, the blood is nearing her, and she appears to be softening. Part of her, she's not cooking or melting, but sort of parts of her are drifting away toward the edge. And Enkidu stands back at his anvil and waits. He begins to mumble under his breath as the air in the room begins to quake with this voice, like the voice of Saruman on the mountain, casting down stones and chunks of ice at the Fellowship. The air in here begins to shake. The blood of your heart touches Mielikki, and Kudo, you feel this electricity run through you. A soul-to-soul connection. Right to the very, very straight dope, the straight juice of the universe. And I need you to make another save, please. Kudo suddenly
29.
dives down toward the direction of Mielikki. And sort of their two chests sort of collide with each other and disappear beneath the white-hot flame of the forge. He picks up his scrape and his hook with his hammer, and things begin to emerge to the surface, which he scrapes away from the edges and casts down through the grates into the fire below, or is carried downstream to melt at its own leisure. He continues through this process. And as he does so, he continues to speak in the first tongue of man, in a voice that rattles the ears, the eyes, the very souls of those nearby. Until coming to the surface is a creature of several arms and legs, coming from places that perhaps they oughtn't, which, with his pair of tongs, Enkidu pulls up from the lava, from the elemental white fire, sets to his forge, and begins to hammer. The sound of the strike is like a crack of thunder that emerges from within your chest, rattling you to your very cores. Kudo, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. Excuse me one moment. Got it.
So that number is, I guess it'll be 14 as well, so that's a 31.
31, you say. Pretty good. So she would need a plus 23 in order to be higher than you, because now it comes down to which of you two is more resistant to being changed.
I'm going to make an argument that they both also still get the bonus, because I'm also aligned with Mielikki through Linhirn.
That's fair. I think that's the only way to really adjudicate it. In which case she wouldn't need a 23. She would only need a plus 18. I'm just going to look at her, because I don't know myself, and I feel that it would be impossible for me to adjudicate rationally.
Damn it, Dalen.
I'm sorry, this is, I can't really unevenly weight one way versus the other.
You are shitting me. Okay. With her proficiency bonus and her con, but her proficiency bonus being doubled, that would be 14 plus 4 is 18. Which means straight roll off, no modifiers. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Damn it.
Oh my god.
A form begins to emerge. Okay, let's see it again. She's unconscious.
Wait,
She doesn't get any of her.
You want me to do it again?
Yeah. A second round.
Okay. Wait, this is con again?
Yeah, it's the same. If you have key points to burn, now's the time.
I do.
Okay.
Well, but I don't know, I think because 14 plus 14, that's 28 for me, I think, which...
Okay, 28, and she's got a... Excuse me. Whatever it was, 18 plus 23, so she's got a 29, I think.
Let me just double check to make sure that number is correct.
Sponsored by Safe Light.
This is why, guys. Lynn, he didn't care about making the saves. He just wanted
Except
to give his life.
Except Dalen, if you didn't give this to her, I would be it would be fine.
I will say, on
You
a
made
moment...
the choice, Duncan.
I'm just saying, all things being fair, this is kind of shaken out the way it's shaken out.
Okay.
So, there will be one more contest. The general direction of this is already set.
I know.
From what happened in these past 5 contests, but needless to say, it is not a simple one-off. Kudo, you were able to sustain and not be completely subsumed by the overwhelming presence of Mielikki. That's what all of that charisma wisdom thing was. This is about the form of the thing that comes after. Which of you does it most resemble? And so, I'll ask you one more time.
Well, the 11's higher, but I know, if it's a straight... Yeah, she's still...
He continues to hammer this into shape until it is a simple, glowing, hot, white light in the form of a person. Enkidu heads to his long trough, sets this shape down into it. The hissing and sizzling and burning is nearly enough to take the entire body of this quenching fluid with it. Something is pulled out, covered in this slick, oily substance of the quenching fluid, and set back into the heat. The hammer strikes continue to resound as thunder emanating from within you. Well, as he works, he takes one glance over his shoulder as he sets the piece into the flames once again. He looks over his shoulder to those of you who have gathered, and he says, "From this, I must continue my work uninterrupted." And the large curtain, which has been, cast over the door to this place, is whipped open by strong winds. He says, in solitude. Alright, I need to pull Duncan into another room for a second. Alright. Are you guys going to stand around, or are you going to leave, or what?
Lynn walks out first.
Yeah, Dalen will follow.
Okay. Come with me, Kudo.
I'll drag Spit with me. Since
I'm
he
really
seems
sorry
to be-
Sierra wasn't here.
She was more than you think. Alright. Technically, it's all of you who are now in a private room, but 2 seconds.
And trusted you with his own son. Point blank. Like, with zero reservations. So I think you just blindly saying that he lusts for power is a little bit unfair.
Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that you would respond that way, as wise as you are. You see what others can't, what some of us refuse to see, and you can't see this? Side position in this. Maybe Odin's a little right to be mad right now. Not necessarily. I don't think to go. I think you're right in this, but can the one guy that never gets mad ever have his moment? For almost losing a second mother, yada yada.
Not even a second mother. Like giving your wife up to Kudo, Dalen. Would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to give your wife's soul so that things could just be broken and right? I'd rather things just stay broken. I'd rather not leave. These are all theories. We don't know what the true state of everything is. We know everything is wrong. And that time is messed up. What matters most to me is the balance of nature. And to see what Mielikki loved and coveted be protected. It's Kudo that walks out that door. I can tell you right now, he does not covet it. To him, the wilds are just savage and unrelenting. He hasn't been part of the ecosystem. There is a balance. A very fine balance. There is savagery. But there is immense amounts of growth too. I'll be patient. I understand right now. I'm not in the correct mental faculties. But as Mothrin said, I have given you wisdom. I have given you my strength. I have given everything for all of you. I am just a man. I'm not anything more. I know all of you look at me as though I'm a pill of strength, but it's all just a facade that I hold for all of you. And then just sits down and puts his head in his hands.
I think I said a little earlier in this recent adventure of us, something along the line of, my bad advice would be to be selfish. My better advice would be that those of us who are most selfish might try and be a little less right now. Well, those of us who have been the least, maybe there's a time for that.
Would any of you have a way to return to the domain of this Mielikki?
Good right now. And I've thought of it. If this change has happened, is her power still within her? Or is it back there? And if so, what's going to happen with it?
Fair question. Although I suppose it would probably be very dangerous there right now. So, it is some time, probably long enough for conversations to turn into thoughtful silence, perhaps resentful silence. I make no assumptions on the part of your characters, but by the time that the heavy Tartarian doors open again, and I realize I forgot to mention this, but having shut behind you such that Enkidu could work in privacy. And as the work is being done, the sort of deep arcane sludge that is a reservoir here, it becomes, increasingly active as well. And the symbols of the four elements seem to dance along these, teleport sigils, as well as on the walls of this place, the floor, and through the air, like glittering snowflakes. Until coming forward are the two doors, with the release of wind. They begin to open of their own accord. And out emerges Enkidu, holding what looks like a butterfly's cocoon of the size of a very large human in his arms. This is the result of my handiwork. And it must be given time now. Time to become. But it cannot do that here. It must be returned to the place where she was gotten from. There is a leather sack over his, slung over his hip. It's very small for him. It's like the kind of pouch that a slinger might keep sling stones in. But he, with, one hand, drops it in the direction of Dalen and says, "You there. Lower this down into the reservoir. Pull forth the waters." He looks down into the chasm that you guys are standing near with this, glowing arcane energy beneath.
All right, I lower it down. Pull some of the shit back up.
Yeah, it's not like a liquid. It's more like you're trying to get a pouch full of, the smoke that comes off of dry ice. But as you pull up, the force of your upward pull seems to close off this very simple looking pouch. It literally looks like it does not look like this sort of thing that you that someone has worked on for thousands of years to perfect it. It looks insanely simple, like, a table with none of the finishing done, just hewn from a piece of wood and set. As you drop back up, he tells you to tie it off, and then asks it from you.
I hand it back to him.
He ties it around the chest of this parcel that he's carrying. He says, "I leave this now in your hands. enough was removed that you should be able to carry it amongst you. Take it back to the domain that it was brought from. Set it down in a peaceful place and drench it in the waters. After that, only time is needed. Time and luck. Master Druid. I need of you something. Please follow me.
I'll follow.
He looks back with a forbidding glance to the rest of you, as if to say, don't even think about it. As opposed to the sort of passive, disassociative kind of way that he's worked up to this point. He says, as he walks with you, there was a piece that did not fit. A piece that had to be removed from the rest of the creation. At the center of the tree was an acorn. I must leave it in your care. And as he has led you the rest of the way inside, near the forge, wrapped in a simple cloth, you see a woman, far from conscious, but alive, maybe. Comatose, even. It's not a woman that you recognize exactly. Although you have seen her before in a vision created by Soren. There is the acorn. One does not need the acorn when carving a table. Only the tree it becomes. Strictly, it is an imperfection. Yet to some, the imperfection is the good part. It is up to you. I have done my part.
Keeper just punched my door in. Blinn walks over her comatose body and looks sadly into Mielikki's face. Thank you. And can't really carry her, so he's going to turn into a earth. Yeah, earthworm. An earth elemental.
Okay.
And like gingerly pick her up.
Got you. And so, Lynn emerges as an earth elemental. He emerges alone.
Alone?
I meant without Enkidu. Sorry. There is a bundle in his arms, a kind of a cloth. It looks heavy, but it doesn't sort of brim with any like special energy or anything. Just a bundle. In an earth elemental form, being the size difference, it kind of looks like he's carrying like a baby or something, you know. So
Is there a tree nearby?
there is outside. The one that the flames
without a
cannot
word,
touch.
you see the tree just opens up and he walks through it with her body. I'm taking her to my circle.
Got ya. Well, things at your circle, although people are definitely happy to see that you're back. And a bit perplexed, but, you know, it's not the first time that you've brought someone into the circle, unconscious or otherwise. Kudo's kid seems particularly interested as ever curious as to what is going on. And although he doesn't sort of come up and ask anything, he does, you could see him with your insane eyes creeping around, trying to get a look at, you know, what's she going to do? You know, can I figure out who she is and all this stuff? As if, how conceited of this kid to think that he's going to be able to pull one over on Lynn, but, you know, like sneak around him. But, well, what can you do? The excitement in the rest, however, quickly seems to dissipate. There's no mistaking your countenance for anything else. The weight on your shoulders and the heaviness in your footsteps. As you head for your destination, you can see people giving you a wide berth, giving you your space. All but the one that I just mentioned and Ramos, who makes his presence known, but not felt. He is nearby if you would need him.
Lynn sets her body by the, like, nestled in the roots of the large tree.
She breathes steadily, evenly. She sounds healthy.
Lynn just says, like, while still facing the tree. Hey, I can't tell if I've been blessed or betrayed. I think it's a very solid mix of both.
Ow! Something creeping in the undergrowth. And it goes back to quiet. For the rest of you, well, and then there were 5, right? Drog, Mothrin, Ash, Dalen, and Spit. Spit is pretty beside himself. But seems in this moment like more the type to, I guess, shut down than to start shouting and bawling or anything. Which leaves the rest of you in the awkward position of having this parcel with presumably a godling in it. This cocoon. And a destination, and I have no idea if you have a way to get there or not at present.
I genuinely would like to say to the others, I'd like to give it a week. So I'm really, really going to have to think this over.
I am inclined to agree with you on that one. That was some heavy shit.
Because James, Lynn he would help you guys almost no matter what. And we really, really hit that almost.
Fair enough. I think we could all probably use some time to think, and it might be good to have the input of some of the others. I can't wait to see what Sierra's going to say when she watches this. I mean, she's been involved, but I guess we give it till next week. I think that's a good place to leave.
No!
Well, at least you can...
Duncan will fill me in.
I was going to say you can hug the cold corpse of next weekend's game, by which I mean, watch the recording of it that I'll inevitably post because I've started recording all these. So
this session did not go at all how I thought it would.
Yeah, same. 100% same.
Nor me,
I
but I knew it
apologize.
wouldn't go in any way that I thought it would, so it doesn't count.
No, but you don't need to apologize.
No. I
It's-
apologize in the sense that I didn't know if this was going to go the way it was going to go, but I've been planning this for months.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And I wasn't quiet about it. Like, Kudo wasn't quiet about it.
I think all of you have a much differing opinion of Kudo than Lynn does. And, yeah, I don't... There was a portent from the start. Lynn watched Kudo slaughter a lamb in front of him. That's what I was
writing that in
thinking
the
of
book.
as this was happening. Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. I'm writing that in the book.
Kudo never lied about who he was.
Yeah. My brain hurts.
Rough. Well then, I'll put something in scheduling closer to, but seems like most people can make it next week. I'm gonna get this edited and cut out our break. I think we took one for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then upload it in its entirety before next Sunday with mildly treated audio and no edits, because I will be damned if I'm going to edit down 3 more hours of footage into just the good parts. What would that even look like? Almost all of it. All right.
Although, while you were gone, we were having a conversation. Like, I don't know if you'll want to edit that out.
Maybe. That's actually my favorite part, is listening to all of you guys scheming when I leave. Like, I never got to before. And it's good, because whatever the scheming is, it's still valid, because I wasn't there to hear it at the time, but then I just sort of get it after the fact, and it like adds a new pizzazz. Right. My brain is burnt. Like the slag off the body of a nascent godling being forged into a new being.
Alright, y'all.
Is his name Mielikki?
My brain gonna hurt.
Kalicki.
All right, guys.
All right.
See
See you
y'all
guys
later.
next week.
More like
Adios.
Dicky.
Later.
See you guys. Honey. Kudo's a god. Kudo's gonna take over the nature domain in the next game. Kudo's a character is getting retired. He's gonna pilot Drog around for now.
Kudo feels like the least nature of them all.
Ah, but he had enough. He had the piece of Anastasi. Either, like we said, either Spit, Lin, or Kudo could have been used in this process. And Kudo fucking fought tooth and nail. Like, his rolls were insane. I was pretty sure he was going to fail and just be used to heal Mielikki, you know?
Yeah.
But, nope. So,